Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Ladies and gentlemen, the history of talk radio. Political opinions have been a staple of radio since the early 1920s. Talk radio as a listener participation format has existed since at least the mid-1940s. WMCA New York's Barry Gray was bored with playing music and put a telephone receiver up to his microphone to talk with band leader Woody Herman. This was soon followed by listener call-ins. In 1948, disc jockey Alan Courtney began a call-in program on WGBS Miami. The Alan Courtney Open Phone Forum was a conservative and anti-communist political forum with coverage area over the southeast United States and Cuba. In the 50s, Joe Pine, John Neville, and Gene Shepard were among the first to explore the medium. In recent years, talk radio has gained popularity with many new formats flourishing, including all sports in 1986 with the birth of WFAN New York. The subject matter for these formats are different, but the structure has remained the same for all these years. You might say, talk radio is a 20th century format. Until now, that is. It's 2014. And radio pioneer and innovator Alex Bennett introduces the Citizen Panel on GabNet, the first revolutionary idea in the format since its inception. The Citizen Panel allows for an open discussion to take place between the host and many listeners all at the same time. Listeners claim that it's addictive, producing stimulating discussions on any topic from politics to movies and entertainment. It's not liberal or conservative. It's open to all opinions and ideas. Log on to gabnet.net to listen and find out how you can participate. Listen to the programs on GabNet and take a step into 21st century talk radio. We're GabNet, and we've got you covered live 5 nights a week. First Tuesday through Friday at 9:30 Eastern, it's The Exchange.
Let's capture, who are all these people who are watching these cooking shows? And they're stoners, right? So I'm wondering, is this a program that Netflix has absorbed? I don't know, what is the purpose of Netflix making a 14-minute show? Now, aside from those two interesting facts about this show, the show is fucking terrible. Do not watch this show. It fucking sucks.
Tuesday through Friday at 10 Eastern. Join Alex Bennett on the Ramble.
Say goodbye to the unions.
Renee, what was the decision? And then we'll go to Patrick.
It doesn't matter. Just say goodbye to the unions.
No. But I'm not asking you that. I'm asking you what was in the decision yesterday.
I'm going to look it up.
Okay, let me look it up.
Yeah, he'll go look it up at glennbeck.com.
Tuesday through Friday at midnight, The Intersection.
Most high school boys, what have we got on our mind? Sex and girls and sex and sex and sex.
And booze and drugs.
Yeah, the Asian guys I knew in high school, I'm sure they thought that way, but perhaps they were more disciplined about it. Although there was this Japanese girl in high school that your old friend, the Black Avenger, had the hots for. Oh, my God. Be still my sake wanting to drink self.
If you like sports, we've got that too, with The Arena, Wednesday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern.
Well, and even if you did that, it doesn't give you the right to grab your Uber driver's private. I mean, and what part of that to him sounded like a good idea?
Oh, she played a special song.
Catch up on all the shows with our weekend flashback. All shows have the Citizen Panel, an exclusive concept of GabNet. It's new, it's daring, it's talk like you've never heard it before. Reasons why you tune into GabNet. Reason number 29, the Citizen Panel.
I'm saying that a good lawyer might be able to make a case that he cannot get a fair trial anywhere in the United States because the President of the United States said, quote, he should be executed. And if you can't find a fair jury anywhere in this country because they've all been exposed to this.
No, he'll never go to trial if he's treated as an enemy combatant.
He's not being treated as an enemy combatant, Phil.
He's basically a citizen. He has a green card. He has all the rights that a citizen of the United States has because he has a green card. Either you want to follow the Constitution of the United States or not. Go to Russia if you don't want to follow the rules.
He said that he did this for ISIS. He had a note in his thing. He had phone call on his cell phone, and he says that he did it for ISIS. Therefore,
okay, so Phil, if you did that, you should be treated as an enemy combatant.
I think so.
Gabnet. Reasons to listen every day. Log on to gabnet.net for more. Gabnet. It's talk like you've never heard it before. Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before. This is Gabnet, the Great American Broadcast Network.
Hey everybody, how are you? It's Alex, it's me. Yeah, that's it. I'll be here until midnight Eastern Standard Time here in the United States of America. I don't have a guest for the first half hour of the program, and as I always say, I'll probably go to the phones early because of that. But I don't know. I have nothing to really talk about. You know what I did? I'm in the process of rebuilding the studio, piece by piece, and nothing ever goes in neat. I put in some USB plugs, and I said, "Oh, and these will all go in just fine." And just before I went on the air, I found out that I had a snare with one of these cameras that I have on this other machine, and I couldn't find where it went. And then when I plugged it in, it wouldn't work. So then I put it in somewhere else, and it worked. But the trouble is that no matter how I rewired very neatly, and that still every wire is a different length. All right. I don't know how many of you have to go through this. None of you probably have to. So what am I boring you with my diatribe about my problems in fixing this up? Anyway, what have I got? I've got nothing to talk about. I kept saying that when I was younger, I spent more time out doing stuff, and so when I would go on the air, I would have things to talk about, like an adventure I had last night, or some dinner I had, or whatever. When you get older, it's just not as exciting as it was. And so I don't have a lot to talk about. I wish I could, for the last couple of days, I've been talking about the dentist. That was an event, the fact that my dentist fucked up my tooth, and then I'd have another dentist unsnarl it, and it looks beautiful. By the way, girlfriend doesn't like me talking about this because she says, "Yeah, you talk about so you got your dental work taken care of, and you got the dentist." And I go, something? I looked at this tooth, and I think, I don't know if you heard the story before, and I'm not going to tell you the whole story. I'm just going to tell you the short of it, and that is, I had a tooth filled. It was filled badly. That night, after the filling was done, the filling fell out of my tooth. Okay? A freshly put in filling. So I went in the next day to another dentist at that office because the other one was off that day, and he fixed it up and put in a white crown, a composite filling, and all was good to go. Well, I've been looking at it in my mouth. Every now and then I take a little flashlight and look at it. And I look at it and I go, this guy is an artist. The other one was like a sloppy piece of filling put in there. And, of course, you could see it because it was metal.
This thing, you can barely see what is filling and what is tooth. And he did such a brilliant job of restoring the shape of the tooth. And I sit there and look at it, and I just go, this is what I talk about. When I talk about the fact that everybody should approach what they do in life as art. And that you are, no matter what you do it to the best of your ability. If you are a guy, there was a guy at Sirius whose only job, right, at Sirius, he must have really needed a job badly. His only job was to clean the toilets. But I got to tell you, he did a bang-up job of cleaning those toilets. I mean, they were pristine, all right? So that being the case, I came to the theory that anything you do, you should approach with a certain amount of virtuosity. That even if you're cleaning toilets, care enough about the job you're doing, because you took the job, to do it with some kind of virtuosity. And so one Christmas, it was the time of year where everybody was doing nice things for other people. It's the only time of year where people do nice things for other people. I saw him in the bathroom and he was cleaning up. And I went over to him and I said, I just want to thank you for having done such a nice job of cleaning up these toilets this year. I really appreciate it. And he was just astounded because nobody ever thought to stop and say to him, thank you. You've got the most thankless job in this place. This place thinks of itself as the pantheon of show business. It's Sirius XM satellite radio, and we got all these shows and all these stars and blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, this guy's cleaning toilets. Now, and that has nothing to do with show business. And where we were getting a lot of accolades, and at this time of year, we get a little thank you from our bosses or whatever if we were lucky. Maybe they'd even give us a bonus or two. And we got all those nice things. But this guy, what did he get? Maybe they gave him a little bonus at the end of the year, a week's pay or something like that. I don't know. But nobody ever thanked him for the job he was doing. And if he had done a shitty job of it, not the word I should use in this case, if he'd done a shitty job of it, I would have said, I wouldn't have said anything. But he did a good job of it, and he took it seriously. He took the job, and he did it to the best of his ability. Now, how many of you out there would say that if you suddenly found yourself in need of money and the only thing there to do was clean toilets, would clean toilets to the best of your ability? No, you'd probably be resentful. I would. I'd be resentful every second I was cleaning the toilet. But remember, in this world, folks, there are people who have to clean toilets. There are people who have to do... there was a guy who did a show on, I can't remember what network. It was like A&E or something like that. And I'm trying to remember what his name was because he became quite famous for it, called Dirty Jobs. And his whole thing was going around and seeing people who, following people who did essentially dirty jobs. And these are the jobs nobody wants, okay? And yet, they're the most important jobs in our society. Listen, you can live without a fucking radio announcer. You can live without Sean Hannity. But you can't live without whoever it is in your office that cleans the toilets. Because if nobody was there to clean them, you would know the difference. And your life is better because of what they do. And what Sean Hannity does, or I do, or anybody else does, just piffle. It's just entertainment, whatever. But there are people who do real jobs in this world that are important to your life being better. And so I guess that kind of gets back to the virtuosity thing that I was talking about. That this guy could say, I'm filling another fucking tooth. I mean, I don't know. There's I understand a high suicide rate among dentists, mainly because it's not the most exciting job in the world. With a doctor, like a doctor, he has to figure out what's wrong with you. It's a detective, you know? And if he's a surgeon, he has to go in and do the best possible job he can do of repairing that knee. But a dentist, every day, it's the same fucking thing, you know? It's open your mouth, okay, let me drill, let me put in the filling, okay, call me if you have any trouble. It's not an exciting job. Dennis once described it to me as a form of carpentry. And so when I find that there is a dentist who worked on me and I walked away, number one, feeling very good about him, but also feeling that the job that had been done was not only a good job, but when I looked at it, a masterful job. I mean, right now, if I were to open up my mouth and put the camera in the mouth and a thing like that, and I were to say to you, okay, which tooth is the one he filled? You probably point out 5 other teeth before you got to the one he actually filled. He did that good a job. And he didn't need to. It's right here. It's right over here. And so it's not in the part of my mouth where, you know, if I've had it pulled, you wouldn't notice it gone. It's in an area that, you know, once you get back here, like I have a loose tooth back here, and one of these days that sucker's going to have to get pulled. Now, am I going to go out and get an implant? Not on your life. It's back there, okay? My business manager, who's got a lot more money than I do because he's got a lot of my money, had this tooth pulled. It seems this tooth always goes bad with everybody. Had it pulled. He said, I didn't replace it. He said, nobody's going to see it, you know, and you get used to the hole back there, you know. So, you know, and I remember my father was missing a tooth, and it was way back there. I mean, he had to really open his mouth for me to see it, but it was way back there. So if any of those go, fuck it. You know, they can go. But down here, hey, you want all of these. Now, that's the other thing I always said about, you know, we've been talking the last couple of nights about dentistry, and I keep saying that we have, you know, Obamacare, but that just takes care of one part of your health, that your teeth are another part of your health. And there's, you know, to begin with, try and get dental insurance. You can get it, but it only usually pays back about $1,500 of whatever you do. And, you know, $1,500 is about one root canal, or it's one crown. Right now, with my SAG-AFTRA, I have Delta Dental, and I have $2,500, which is a little more reasonable. But it's not like medical insurance. Now, let me give you an example of something. You know, girlfriend, really, I feel so bad for her that this even happened to her. You know, she was walking down the street on Fifth Avenue, tourists, not looking where they were going because they were looking up at the buildings and everything. Bumps into her, knocks her over. She falls on her knee and she breaks it. That was on a Monday. On Friday, she was in the operating room and they were repairing the knee, okay? That meant a 6 month of a brace being on her knee at all times. Now she can have it on, only has to have it on when she goes out. But she's going through intensive physical therapy, which is very painful for her, and is going to be a slow recuperative situation. Now she went to Mount Sinai Hospital, and I don't know what the doctor got paid, because this is not in what I saw yesterday. But the bill from Mount Sinai Hospital I got yesterday. Now, you know, where you always get those things, you know, and they write, you may be responsible for, and then they give you a certain amount, right? The total bill for her operation at Mount Sinai, this is not the days before in the emergency ward and things like that, but just the operation at Mount Sinai, $25,000. I have it right here on the computer. I looked at it last night. I saw it last night because it came in. $25,000. How much do you think she has to pay? How much she's going to be responsible for? Goose egg, 0. Now, that's what we should do with dental. Okay, same thing. You know, you had this, you had that, you had this, you had that, but you know. But I think the reason they don't have dental insurance is it's a losing bet for the most part, or at least why they limit it to $1,500. In my case, $2,500, is because it's a losing bet. Because where Marjorie had an accident, it wasn't her fault. She didn't do anything to cause it. With dentistry, if you don't take care of your teeth, you don't floss, you don't water pick, you don't brush every day, you don't make your regular appointments to get your teeth cleaned and things like that, you very easily can get lots of dental problems, and it's very easy to get. I don't know what primitive man did. Primitive man must have had some terrible teeth, because I mean, either that or they knew how to take care of their teeth, you know, and how to keep them from going bad. But the fact is that, you know, having dental insurance is a difficult go, because most people are not going to be as judicious about keeping up their teeth. So, but it is different. But then again, you know, we insure people for, you know, hospitalization, and you go get a lung cancer operation, and you probably pay goose egg. All right, if you got enough insurance, it comes out to 0. Man, that's really nice. But you probably smoked all your life. So what's the difference between that and eating candy bars and getting cavities? You know, so I just think that we need dental care, and we need, you know, universal health care. There's no question about that. I mean, come on, we're a rich country. We can afford to give our people something. You know, I talk about it, and I've mentioned this before, and I'll mention it again. The reason England has national health was the national health program was started right after World War II. And why did it start right after World War II? Because the Brits decided they wanted to give themselves a present. They wanted to give themselves a gift. And the best gift they could give would be universal health care. And so they started national health and the national health hospitals. And people in England didn't have to pay a penny for their medical care. You go to a hospital in England, they do what they got to do. Hopefully they fix you, you know, and then there's no place when you sign out to hand them your credit card, because they don't take a bill. So I mean and I know people like Phil will say, oh, well, you know, I hear it's terrible, but no, I'm sorry, British healthcare is quite good. And as a matter of fact, here's what they do. Doctors, now you can be a private doctor, and you can have a private practice, but that's usually reserved for very rich people who just want a private doctor. But if you're part of the national health and you're a doctor, you make about the price I heard several years ago, and it probably has gone up, was $200,000 a year. That's not bad. Okay, that's a good living, $200,000 a year. But you make more money based upon the performance of your patients. In other words, if they're healthier and you've gone through certain things to make them healthier, you get a bonus. So it really has always been a very good plan, and it really has worked for the Brits. And it works for the Canadians. The Canadians have it. I remember Revelstoke Jim, when he was working here, when he was doing a show here, and when I first got to know him when I was back in the day at Play TV, I said to him, so how much do you pay for health insurance? I didn't know what they had up there. He says, pay? He says, we don't pay for health insurance. We have health insurance. We have health. Get sick, you go to the hospital. They fix you up, you go home, and that's it. You're not lighter in the wallet for it. And I just thought that was so amazing. And when he left the country, like came to the United States to do stuff, he had to pay them $25 to be covered in the United States. It was some kind of coverage that you got when you left the country. Wow. Is that terrific or what? Let me just make sure I got things here right. Okay. Are things okay? Yeah, things are all right. Okay. Anyway, so, you know, you really have to, you know, that whole idea of just not paying for medical. And why should you? I mean, if you have a country and the country is doing well financially, as ours is, I mean, we have a lot of money in this country. There are a lot of billionaires in this country. Then why don't we give ourselves that gift? Why don't we give ourselves the gift of good health? I mean, and people will tell you, well, people don't have, you know, if they can't afford to pay, they can still get medical care. Yeah, they can go to the emergency room. And they're not going to get substandard care there, but they're going to be like having to wait for hours and hours and hours and hours and be made to feel that they're on the public dole. In other words, you're not getting away with just charging us for your medical. You're also going to have to like be dismissed or treated like you are vermin. We need something where everybody's taken care of and we can look at each other and say, you know, we did something nice for each other. And those of us who have more money than others, it's our present to our fellow man. I don't know. It might be. I'm probably just. I'm bleeding heart liberal, folks. Bleeding heart fucking liberal. I'm not a liberal. I'm a lefty. But that's because my father made me into a lefty. You know. Yeah, it made me into a lefty. Anyway, so that's my little rant for tonight, and it has to do with us just caring about each other and taking care of each other, and making sure we're well taken care of. God forbid, though. I mean, if we cannot do it here in this country because the medical industry, and I call it the medical industry, is so inculcated into the system that to suddenly say, well, okay, guys, you're no longer going to have private practices, you're going to be working for the government, okay, would just drive a whole industry nuts because these people make a fortune out of us. Although, I got to say one thing here. I feel sorry for your average doctor because it is so hard today for him to exist because of what, not because of like Medicare, but what insurance companies are trying to pay them and get away with paying. And so I don't know how these guys, you know, I get my bill and I see what Medicare pays them, and then I see what my insurance, the 20% that Medicare doesn't take care of, pays them, which is far less of a percentage than the Medicare. And I go, how do these guys make a living? And how they make a living now is volume. I found out my GP, the guy I go to every year for my checkup, the guy I go to when I've got a problem that I think I have a sore throat, I think I've got strep throat, hey, okay, fine, here, take a pill, you're okay. That doctor, once he had a thing where, and a lot of doctors are doing this, started a concierge service. That is, if you pay for $2,500 a year for his concierge service, you can call him in the middle of the night, and he'll come make house calls. All right? So he invited all his patients to come to this meeting where they were going to introduce this concierge service. And so I went. And I was talking with somebody, and I said, who was familiar with his practice, and I said, gee, there are a lot of people here. This is an auditorium, and it's completely filled. He said, oh, this is only a small part of his practice. I said, how many people go to him? He said, 3,000. I suddenly remembered why he didn't remember my name every year. 3,000 people, but that's what he's got to do in order to survive. And that doesn't do you any good either. Yeah, anyway, I enough of my belly aching about that. Look at me. I took about the whole time I managed to talk, and maybe I wasn't even boring, although there is that possibility that I was. Anyway, give us a call. I just opened up the Skype lines. If you don't know how to call us, go over to gabnet.net. You can also see the video over there, so you're not going to miss much. And just go over there, have a look-see. And on the right-hand side of the page, it tells you how you can call us. It talks about Citizen Panel and Skype and how you get Skype and things you can click on to get Skype and things you can click on to call us. And I'm not going to explain it right now, but, do it. Anyway, I'm sitting here now waiting for people to call because the lines are open. I thought Phil would be here in a second in order to just yell and scream about his friend Alex the commie, But anyway, here I got to do a few things so I can see that everything's okay. Well, here comes Phil. Here he comes. Here he comes. Yes. There he is. And also Jeff Stein is coming online. So, I think we're ready to go, aren't we? Yeah, there we go. Hello, Phil. How are you?
Hey, I'm just fine. So you got some slapback.
I don't have it here.
Really?
Yeah.
Talk to Jeff for a second.
I can hear it fine.
You can hear it fine. See. So it's,
no, I hear Bill's.
Yeah, but you don't hear me slapping back at you.
No, it was me. But it's gone now.
It's gone now. Oh, okay. That's nice. Anyway.
Well, we could have universal health care if the generals and all of the people that said that we had to get into the Iraq war, if we would have taken that money and spent it on universal health care, we could have it. But you know what happens when you spend the money that you have? You don't have any money left. And when you don't have any money left, you don't get universal health care. We spent it because we were conned into thinking that we had to go over there. All we should have done was gotten Saddam Hussein, tried him for war crimes, and been done with it.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Did you have this whole opinion when the war was going on, or is this something you've adopted from Trump, who has complained that war was useless?
Well, I've adopted it from Trump.
Oh, fuck you then. Fuck you, because
if you don't like,
I was yelling it. I was yelling it when that was the case. Okay.
Hey, Trump is telling us what really happened. When you become president, there's all these secrets that they tell you, like Area 51. Tim would like this. Area 51 and all of those things. Maybe Trump is just telling us really what the truth is.
No, probably not. I'll tell you something, though. I did ask Jimmy Carter that exact question. I said, when you first become president, they sit you down and they tell you all the secrets, all the stuff that's going on. Hi, Rob.
Yeah, but Jimmy wouldn't tell us.
All the stuff. No.
Hello, how are you?
All the stuff that's going on. And I said, did it scare you? And he said, you can't believe how much it scared me. He said, I heard stuff I didn't even expect.
Right.
So, yes, obviously Trump does know things that we don't know. But who knows what exactly is the truth of anything anymore. So,
I've been out of touch. I've been at a conference in Orlando this week, so I haven't really been paying attention to the news. Is something I miss?
Well, the what do you call those guys? His advisors and the Senate are rebuking Trump for wanting to pull out of Afghanistan and Syria, and and Alex is going off about, I want universal health care, I want universal dentistry, I want a chicken in every pot. I want two chickens in every pot.
I don't want a chicken in every pot, Phil. But I do feel that the only reason we are a society is so that we pool our resources and we take care of each other.
Okay, so let the Chinese give us money for universal health care.
No, because the Chinese. Why'd you say that, Phil?
Because I said we don't have any money to pay for it. We spent it on the war. The
war
war which I supported.
Oh no! You know what we spend it on?
We
spend it on? We spend way more money than any other country in the world on our military, by about what is it? I think we spend 10% of our GNP. A place like England, the second highest country in spending for the military, spends 10% of their GNP. All right,
we got conned
we
into
spend over 50% of our GNP.
Right. So Trump says, why don't these other countries pay us for the protection that we give them? And then, you want universal health care with all the money? Hey, it's great, but right now it would bankrupt us.
You're not making any sense at all.
Yeah, because you're not listening. You got blinders on.
No, I don't have blinders on, Phil. All I know.
Money.
Why do we have a fucking country? Why do we have a fucking government? Why are we organized like we are? So that we can we can all screw each other over? No, you do it because mutually you pool your resources, you become a country, and you take care of your
There are
people.
no resources.
Why is it we're the only industrialized country in the world outside of China, because China doesn't have it either, that doesn't have universal health care? Why is that?
We don't have any money.
Well, why don't we have any money?
We're supposedly
we're the big, most burgeoning capitalists alive, and somehow we don't have the money.
We spent trillions on a war that the advisors, which are you're so pro right now, the advisors are telling us that we need it. Now Trump is saying,
wait a minute, who are you saying I'm for?
Well, because.
Wait a minute. No, I asked you. You said these people that you're for. Who are those people I'm for?
The people that you feel are telling Trump that he's wrong.
I think he's wrong in this particular case. But
okay.
What do we? You have some? Is it Rob? But something's cutting in and out a little bit. Could it be your? Rob. What happened to Rob?
Maybe he turned his camera off.
Here, no, it's the Wi-Fi in this room is not good enough to support video tonight. So,
yeah, well, Rob, if we didn't spend all that money on the Iraq War, you could have had free Wi-Fi.
Oh, it's free. It's just
it's the neighbors
sucky Wi-Fi. But Phil. What they're saying is that since we did go into Syria, then to pull out without making sure that the populace is safe there, because what happened is you got other countries in there. You've got countries like what do you call it? What's it? Those guys outside of Iraq, the Kurds. The Kurds are in there, but they don't have any air support. They don't have an air force. And if we leave, the Kurds are there without air support.
We screwed them before.
No, Jesus, Phil, come on.
No,
that's not. You're not giving me an answer.
Why are the Kurds in Syria? What are they doing in Syria?
They're trying to help the Syrians.
Nah, nobody's trying to help anybody. These people are all. Everybody that's there wants their own stuff.
Okay, so what are you saying the Kurds want?
I think the Kurds want southern Iraq.
No, they've never stated that. They've never stated that as a.
Well, that's where they were, and we let them down. We didn't give them the support that they needed in Iraq.
No, they didn't want part of Iraq. They wanted their own Kurdish territories.
And where do you think that was going to come from?
Well, they're in northern Iraq. Yes.
Yeah, northern Iraq or southern Iraq?
I think they're in northern, if I'm not mistaken. I may be wrong.
But so everybody.
Wait a minute. Phil, Rob wants to say something. Who wanted to talk?
No, I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay. Oh, Jeff.
Was it me?
Jeff. Yeah, I was just going to say that they were in the northern part of the country. And that's where they've lived their whole life. I don't think it's not like they moved there.
No, I understand. Yeah. But they want their own rule over the area that they're living.
We understand that. Yeah.
And so that's part of Iraq, whether it's northern or southern,
Yeah, but it's where they have lived, and it is their home.
Right. So what are they doing in Syria?
They're helping the Syrians.
Oh, what are they helping the Syrians to? It doesn't look like they did a very good job of helping them. They're all bombed out.
Jesus,
You know,
Phil,
and
Phil.
you got the Russians,
Phil,
and you got the
you
Iranians.
are insane tonight. You are
No, you
just
got-
so out of it.
You got the Russians and you got the Iranians, and they're there trying to make sure that their interests are served. And you got what's his name? Who's the president of Syria? Not Ballot. Who's the president of Syria?
Well, I'll let you just hang there.
All right. So anyway, you know, he doesn't want to give up power. And have you seen some of the pictures of that country?
I believe it's
what it looks like?
Bashir Assad is who you're thinking of.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, well, you're the news guy. You're supposed to know those things.
I'm not the news guy. I'm the guy who sits around the house all day because I don't have a job. I'm not the news guy.
I'm just a citizen, you know, legal. And so, so anyway, the country is torn apart. Do you think that it did any good for the people of Syria? And, you know, the Kurds are probably just looking for their own sustenance. You know, they're looking to see what they can take. They're all in there with their hands out. Nobody's helping anybody.
The Kurds have been a people who have been put upon and vilified by, in the case of what we're talking about, the Iraqi government over the years, and have had to fight for their own independence. And they usually are not expansionist in their attitude. If there was ever a good guy in that part of the world, it's the Kurds.
Is something playing in the background?
I don't know.
There was.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, to take on the Kurds like you are is kind of wrong.
I'm not saying that the Kurds are bad people. I'm just saying, what are they doing in Iraq? I mean, in Syria.
They're helping. They're helping.
What?
Have you
What are they helping
have you
with?
seen the kids who
They can't help
Have you
themselves.
seen the kids who are like losing limbs and people who are dying because Assad has been going after them, and then and so the Kurds are in there as we were to try and stop that
No, we weren't there to stop Bashir al-Assad. We were there to rout out ISIS. That was the mission that we went into Syria.
That was part of it.
Well, if ISIS has been routed, then
I mean,
Trump wants to pull
there
out.
is rampant genocide going on in that country. Why shouldn't we be there? If there's any reason for us to be somewhere, it's when genocide is going on.
Oh, you know, genocide has gone on in many areas of the world for many, many decades.
Oh, then that justifies it happening anywhere?
We've never been there for them.
Okay, Phil, then I guess we don't have to. Thank you. You made me feel better about this.
Yeah.
You made me feel
dentistry.
much better about it. Anybody else want to call? I'm getting a headache.
right.
Yeah, anything to say, Rob?
Nope. Nothing.
Well,
I don't agree with Phil, so it's. I don't even know where to start commenting. So.
Well, you see, it's all your fault because you said I haven't paid attention to the news this week. Anything happening? Yeah.
Hey, has anybody seen this whole thing on deep fake? There's an article on CNN.com that I read this week about what's coming, and we were talking about warfare and how much money we spend on weaponry and all that. The biggest fight coming our way is the fight in video and what's happening in video. You can manipulate video today.
Oh, yeah.
If you go to the CNN website, you'll see an article on the business page that explains what deep fakes are. It shows you
They're doing it with
examples.
pornography.
They're doing it with pornography. They're doing it. They got
They did it with
Obama here
Obama.
saying that. Yeah, they're doing it with Obama, and you could hear him saying crazy things, and you can watch it, and you can't tell. So the U.S. government is working really hard to try to figure out how to combat it, to find out what is real and what isn't real. Because if we can't trust what we see in video, where's the line of what's the truth and what's made up.
Well, I'm going to take issue with you in one respect, Rob, is that I don't think we could ever trust video. We can't trust what we see on TV, not because there are any nefarious reasons for it, but because at least at one point television was just a square picture. Now it's a little wider. And you never saw what went on in the peripheries of that frame. In other words, what you were seeing was what the cameraman or the editor wanted you to see. The stuff that was, and when I was in Chicago years ago, and I was involved in the demonstrations at the Democratic Convention, and I was part of those people that got their asses handed to them by the.
I thought you were picking up dry cleaning.
Can I finish what I'm saying, Phil?
Yeah.
The Chicago Police Department. I kept saying that people didn't get to see what was going on either side of the frame, which was even worse than what was going on with what the cameraman was shooting.
Mute Ray.
Ray, mute if you can.
Okay. Sorry. Hold on.
Yeah. Hold on. Yeah. There he goes.
Yeah, what Rob was saying is it's worse than that. What Rob is saying is that they're manufacturing video that creates.
Well, what I'm saying is, but he was saying we can't even trust video now. I don't know that you ever could really totally trust video.
So if you're looking at a portrait shot of a guy talking into a camera, and it's just on this guy, you can pretty much figure that. As long as it's live, or you think it's live, or you don't see any cuts or jumps in the video or cutaways,
and you
can pretty much trust what you're hearing. Like the picture of Jeff right now, I'm looking at it. I'm watching you guys on your website, right?
Right.
The picture of you guys there. I'm looking at Jeff. His picture's not. There's no cuts. There's no changes. It looks like if he's speaking, I could trust what's coming out of his mouth because I could watch his mouth move. You could take. And they've done it, President Obama, and have him, just like Jeff, right there on the screen, and he's talking, and he's saying the wackiest shit.
I saw him say, build the wall, and all of those things. Obama, and then I found out that was fake manufactured video.
Yep.
And so we're, it's one thing not to see at the periphery, but it's another thing not to, and if I was shooting the shot and I was shooting a journalistic shot, I want something wide enough that's going to get the periphery so people can see what's going on. But what they're doing with these videos is they're actually creating a lie and putting it out there and perpetrating it, and people are being fooled. I was fooled.
Watch CNN. Go to CNN and look for it. They mention it, fake videos, and you click on the link, it'll take you to CNN Business, and they explain it. They show you how they do it. They show you how the government is looking to try to find tools to be able to tell what's real and what's not real. There's a race to get that done because this could be really dangerous. They need to employ these things on social media.
They're ruining people's lives.
It's doubly dangerous. It's doubly dangerous because of the nature of the internet.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And the fact that this kind of stuff gets out there, a guy like Alex Jones will play it on his show, and all of a sudden it's everywhere.
Absolutely. And just the way there are algorithms, like on YouTube, when you upload something to Facebook, if it has content that is recognized as copyrighted, you don't get to post it. They have to come up with ways that if the video is not real, they show you in one of the examples, they show you a graph while the video is playing. They show you a graph that says, okay, we're comparing Obama's voice and all this to this graph, and we can show you everywhere it goes off, where it's not right. And so they're going to be able to they're going to have to come up with technology that does this and because they're constantly making this technology better. The government's got to stay ahead of the game, and they've got to force social media and the internet that if someone's going to upload a video, you're going to have to prove that this is a real video. Because really, this could really do a lot of damage.
Well, you can recreate people, for instance.
Exactly.
And we're getting to a point where we can do that. I think it was done. It was done with Carrie Fisher, I think, in the last Star Wars picture, because the stuff she couldn't do, they managed to do with CGI. You know, and so all this is possible. The question is,
I don't think this stuff is CGI though. This stuff is like Photoshop, where they can take the head of one person with the mouth.
What do you think that's called?
It's not Photoshop.
What is it?
It's not Photoshop. It's actually a technology, and they show you where they take video of a person, and then they have a way to do data points around the face.
Yeah, where it looks like skeletons.
That's what I'm talking about.
It's called the eyes, around the lips, and
it's called CGI.
Yeah. Okay.
They don't mention the word CGI.
Well, I mean, when you take the various points of the face,
it's not computer generated.
No.
It's just they use computers to get this done, and you got to read it. You got to watch it because they show you how they do it, and they give you examples. There's actually video here of Marco Rubio. The only thing I think I've ever agreed with him on, he actually says, we really need to get a handle on this because it could be extremely dangerous if a deep fake video goes viral before it's detected. I mean, the president can say, I've just launched a missile. There's missiles coming towards the United States, and I just launched the missile. And if people believe that, and that video goes viral, I mean, it's just the things that can happen if we're not careful.
We had that.
They don't figure out how to do this.
Orson Welles' War of the Worlds.
No, it wasn't. No,
true.
That wasn't the that wasn't the nature of War of the Worlds.
No. But people, people didn't tune in in the beginning, and therefore didn't realize that it was fake, and there was a lot of.
It's kind of like you just heard part of it, and made their own decision, like you always do, Phil.
Well, no, it was so real. And they showed Pelosi, they showed Schumer, and they showed Obama, all talking about the wall, all supporting the wall, and it was this deep fake video.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. You could buy it, I'm telling you.
Yeah, you can't tell.
Yeah.
And the people they're really worried about have 12-core Macs, because those are the ones that can do that.
Yeah. I'm hoping it's going to fit just right here. I'll find out. It's probably going to cut off a little bit of my screen, but I don't care.
Put it behind it.
Nah, I don't.
Got enough depth?
No. I'm sitting here trying to rewire this whole place, and there's just I thought I had it all really neat, and then I found one wire that I couldn't figure out where it was going, and it was one that I just put in the other day.
Yeah.
It's not fun. I mean,
how are you kneading it up?
Hmm?
How are you kneading it up? Are you using, what are you doing to make it neat?
I can't taking everything out and putting them all back in.
But in 4 months, it's going to be a rat's nest.
It's a rat's nest already. Because here's the problem. Let's say I have a camera, and it has a cord on it that goes into a USB port. All right. Mm-hmm. It's not the same size as the USB that goes into my that takes care of my iPhone. Okay.
And you coil it?
Wait a minute. Oh yeah, then you coil it and you got a lot of coils. I mean, come on. It's just they don't come out with the same size cord for everything or certain standard sizes. If that were the case, then you could wire them together and make a nice little bundle and so on.
Yeah, but some things are further away from the source than others, so you need longer cords.
Well, then you get extensions for those. But what I'm saying is that because every cord, I've got a cord for my my watch, my Apple Watch. It's this one here, and you see where it's sitting. Okay, we're here. This cord is so long it goes off the desk down to the bottom and into a receptacle. That's how long the cord is for this. Now, the cord for my phone is only this long. Okay?
You can buy longer ones.
You don't understand what I'm saying, Phil. If
Yeah,
you
I do.
want, if you wanted to make things neat,
organize.
Yeah,
you can't organize.
So that
when
no
you
matter
have
how
multiple
neat
lengths.
you make everything, eventually it's all, fucked. So it's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Is anybody else going to call tonight? Or is this going to be it? I thought that this is a bad crowd.
Except for me.
Except for you. But I think you're saying we don't have the money. We don't have the money. Listen, you know why one of the reasons we don't have the money is your friend Donald Trump has been spending like a drunken sailor. Okay. No, he really has.
He's trying to stimulate the economy.
He
did.
No,
it's not working.
It's not working.
It's not going. It's not trickling down to salaries.
I think it is because more people are employed.
No, no, Phil. You use the word employed. That's a number you don't want to even go to. Okay,
well,
because
how do you get less unemployment? You employ them.
Well, no, you employ them at less than they were getting paid before.
Well, unemployment, they can't get paid much less on unemployment than they do at a job.
Phil, don't be a fucking idiot tonight. Don't try to always come up with an answer to an argument. Sometimes you can even agree. The fact of the matter is, yes, employment is up, but what people are getting paid is not what they were getting paid. So that really the income into their pockets is much lower. So it's kind of being, you're working, but.
What facts do you have that say they're not getting paid? And maybe they're not getting as paid
because
as much
we
as
know
they were in
we know what the average national income is. I don't have a number for you, but it's lower than it has been.
Okay, but sometimes you have to.
Phil,
the economy will buoy up.
When did you go to work?
Phil,
when did you?
All that money, Phil.
Hey, I went to Oxford.
You went to
all that money added to the deficit is your grandkids are going to pay for.
Yeah.
All that money that Trump handed over is gifts to all these companies.
It's been happening that way for years.
Oh, so that's good.
Not gifts.
But I thought your boy wasn't going to be that way. I thought your boy was going to be different. He was going to be the maverick in town. But no, he's just the fact is the tax cuts he gave people were only temporary for the average American.
The handouts that Obama gave people, including
whataboutism. All I ever get from you for an answer from you is not a direct answer, but a what about.
Well, look, Obama tried to stimulate the economy with government handouts and government jobs. Trump is trying to stimulate the economy through tax breaks.
By the way, I hit the table so much it says it looks like you've taken a hard fall. No, I'm okay.
Oh, I was saying that I went to Oxford. I walked across the campus, and so therefore I went to Oxford. So,
okay.
You asked me,
it's very funny. Anyway, so I mean, the point that I'm making is that if the fact that there are more people working right now doesn't mean they're working as productively as they were, bringing home what they were bringing home.
It's a start.
Phil, fuck you.
We had a great economy before the meltdown.
No, we had a great economy under Obama.
And Clinton. There's been times when I've said, I kind of wish Clinton was ruling the roost again because he did a damn, he did a good job.
Under his watch, the whole thing fell apart too. That's when the whole Silicon Valley crash happened and the whole market just tanked during about the last year of his time in office. So
same thing happened to Bush.
Yeah. But, the fact is this tax break that he supposedly gave all Americans is only temporary. But for the billionaires and for the corporations, it's permanent.
You only need...
Unless we can roll it back.
Unless we can roll it back, right.
You only need a temporary tax break
Phil, how do you feel? How do you feel about tax break for you and me being temporary, and for the rich, it's not?
Well,
come on, Phil.
I don't know that it's not temporary for the rich either. You know,
no, it isn't, Phil. It's written into it. Wait a minute, Rob, am I right?
You are correct.
Now, what do we get?
It's permanent tax breaks for the wealthy and for business.
As far as I know, the tax thing raised taxes on the rich and lowered taxes on the middle class.
No, it did not.
No,
quite the opposite, Phil.
Well, you can believe what you want to believe, but that's what we were told.
No, we weren't told that. We were told that the rich were getting a cut in taxes too. It wasn't as much as the average American who was only getting the temporary one, but everybody was getting a tax break. We threw money away when we didn't have that money to spend.
Yeah, we spent.
You're putting the financial well-being of this country in the hands of a man who constantly was going bankrupt.
Well, you mean then he knows how to run our government because all we do is print more money.
You're acting like a fucking moron tonight. You're trying to excuse everything with, then he knows what it's like to go broke and he'll keep us from going broke. No, he could just be spending like a drunken sailor.
Well, when they spend on the military, California used to be a very vibrant economy when they had all the military spending back in the 60s. California was very, very strong. Now, Clinton closed down all these bases, many of them in California. You didn't have the industry. I mean, Jeff was worked for Boeing, was it? You were able to benefit by that military spending, and it was good for the economy. It was good. It was good for the country.
Phil, a country
short term.
A country that derives its income based on the fact that it has wars has a false income.
Well, that's been our way of making money ever since 1776.
No, it hasn't.
Yeah. After World War II.
No, wait a minute. That World War II was in. It ended in 1946. It's far cry from 1776, Phil.
It kept us. World War II kept our economy strong for at least 35 years after World War II, and in the now the revolution that we had in 1776. Yes, it was a war. Yes, we gained our independence, and independence costs. But we've had a number of laws.
You are being so maddening tonight. Yeah. Really, you are just so idiotic and moronic tonight. I can't believe it.
I mean, you don't like an opinion different than your own.
No, I don't mind an opinion different than my own. I just don't mind.
As long as it's yours.
I do mind a misinformed opinion, however.
Yeah.
So I just read it. One of the main criticisms of the plan is that the tax cuts are not allocated equally across the income spectrum. Taxpayers earning between $308,000 and $733,000 would receive the largest tax cut. According to TCP, that's the website here, middle income taxpayers, those making between $49,000 and $86,000, would pay about $900 less, or about 1.6% after income tax in 2018, while those earning $733,000 and up get an average cut of roughly $50,000, or 3.4% of their after-tax earnings. If you earn $65,000, it says if you earn $65,000, you'll save about $930 in 2018. If you make $500,000, you'll save $13,480.
Look, if you make $13,000, I mean, if you make $500,000, you're paying a lot more in tax dollars.
We're talking about percentages.
But he's talking about percentages.
1.6.
No, he's talking about.
Listen, Phil. No, he's not.
I'm just giving you the numbers. The numbers is this. The percentage is this. If you earn between 49 and 80, if you earn between 49 and 86,000, you're getting a benefit of 1.6%. If you earn 733 or up, you get 3.4% after-tax income break.
Okay, but
it's double.
You're as an individual person, you're paying so much more money.
So the $49,000 person can afford a lesser tax break. Is that what you're saying?
No, there's less money to break. I mean, he's not paying as much taxes.
No, Phil, you're not getting the message here. You're not listening. The fact is that the person in the higher bracket was getting, what, 3.16, did you say, Rob?
3.4.
Over 3.4, but the person down around 65,000 was paying, what, 1.5?
1.6.
1.6. We're talking percentages here, Phil. What we're saying is the rich person gets to keep more money, more of a percentage of his money than the person who makes less. When logically, listen to me, Phil, when logically it's the person who's making less who needs more than the person who's making more.
The person who's making more is in what tax bracket? When you make over $500,000 a year, how much tax
you're living in a dream.
You're in a much higher bracket.
Phil, we really don't have what you call tax brackets anymore. It used to be, hey, if you got to this point, then the percentage raised. No, that's not the case anymore. Who does your taxes? I hope it's not you.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I just write the check.
Yeah. But, I mean, that whole concept about you're in a different bracket and so on and so forth, yeah. I mean, it used to be a time where if you made $1 million, everything over $1 million, you paid 90%. Okay? Right. But that's because you were in a different tax bracket.
As far as...
still tax brackets.
Yeah, there are still tax brackets. You know? Yeah. And if you're making $500,000 to $1 million a year, you're paying a lot more tax than the guy that pays makes $60,000 a year. Whether you're saving 1.5% or 3%, you're still laying out a lot more money.
In 2018, if you're single and you make $60,000, you're in the 22% tax bracket.
Okay.
And you're getting a 1.6% forgiveness, if you will, right? You're getting that he dropped your taxes by 1.6%. If you're making $700,000, your tax bracket is 37%.
Okay, so there's a lot more tax there.
But still, Phil, you're giving them 3%. Why would you give them a 3%? So now
because you're charging them 30% more based on his income.
Phil, we're talking percentages here. We're not talking about dollars. Look, no, you're not.
One guy pays 22% and another guy pays 37%, and you give the 37% guy 3% break, and you give the guy who's paying 22% 1.5% break.
If the guy who makes less money, it's 1.6% money that he gets back, or $900 as we were talking. The guy who's making more money gets 3.16, I think. Rob, am I right about that? I'm just
but he's paying 50% more in taxes.
No, he's not paying 50% more in taxes.
The difference between 37 and 22.
Phil, he's not paying more in taxes. He's paying a percentage of his income as taxes.
And that's called money, and that money is a greater amount.
Phil, you know something? You don't know shit about money.
Yeah, okay.
You really, and I know probably even less than you do, but I know enough to know you don't know shit about money.
Well, honestly, I don't know anything about money. I just know how to make it.
You know how to spend it,
and I know how to spend it. Yeah. not on the best things, but that's something they should teach kids in school, is how to save. That they don't. You know.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is that, that it would seem to me that really the people on the lesser end should be not paying as much of a percentage, and they should be getting more money back, wait a minute, than the person who's wealthier, because they don't need it as much. And those people, by the way, on the lower end are going to spend every penny of that tax return.
You're hung up on the low percentage difference between.
Phil, you didn't hear what I just said.
You don't see.
You didn't hear what I just said. Phil, you didn't hear what I just said. What did I say? What did I say? What did I say?
That you were talking about percentages, and the guy.
No, that's not what I was saying at all. That's not what I was saying at all. I was saying that if you give a larger tax return to a rebate to the people on the lesser end of the scale, because they spend almost every penny that they get, they're going to return that money back into the system, whereas the richer person is going to hold on to that money.
That's your opinion. I mean, I don't think the rich...
that's pure economics, Phil.
I spend everything I make.
Okay, shut up, Phil. Jeff, am I right or wrong?
Absolutely. I've got 3 kids who are all lower than Phil's percentages that you accept.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't make that kind of money. And you know what? Some of them have some pretty damn good jobs at the same time. But they're not what maybe I was able to get 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, my income is not that much higher than it was 20 years ago. And that's not Trump's fault. That's just, my education level and my expertise. I mean, I just seem to stayed at a certain point and really didn't make that much more. 20 years ago, I made pretty much the same as I'm making now.
Well, I'm making considerably less than I made 20 years
Yeah, but you're
ago.
retired for all intents and purposes.
No, I was retired.
Yeah.
I didn't retire.
Yeah.
Is it retired or retarded? I never quite get that.
You know how I'm going to retire. My head's going to fall down on the desk, and somebody's going to push me and say, "I don't think he's breathing."
Yeah. Anyway, I'm tired. You're exhausting me. Will some more people call tonight? It would be nice. It would,
Gave you controversy. You don't want controversy.
Well, obviously you're driving people away because they're not calling. They don't want to be part of this. Jeff.
Well, I'm trying to say that I think with our ages, and I'll include anybody here right now, our world is designed, so to speak. We've financially designed. We know where we are. We know where we're going. There's not going to be a major change from us in the next 10 years that I can see.
Yeah.
And I'll include that. I'll guess Rob includes that. I don't know why, but I'm going to say that. But unfortunately, my kids, they got lots of stuff coming in. They got young kids who are in high school right now, and they want to go to college, and they all want to do that stuff, and they want to go on vacations, and they want to learn things. And who knows what kind of things, what kind of cars they want to have, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
What kind of houses they want to ultimately have as they grow up. It's not as easy as it was before, and this system is not being beneficial to the people who need the money the most. It's going for people who, quite frankly, need the least.
The entitled.
That's right.
And by the way, those people who make more have benefited more from this society than those people who are like the drones who are making the $65,000 a year. And they have benefited from this country, so they should pay for it.
Now, you got a guy like Schultz. And I know he's not the guy that designed Peanuts, the guy that gives us the coffee. And he's saying that he's not apologizing for the system working for him, for the fact that he made it, and he went from nothing, from poverty, living in a Brooklyn government-subsidized housing, and today being a billionaire. But he says that you take the incentive out of people's desire to produce when, look how communism works.
This is from a guy who was paying his employees $10 an hour.
No, people at Starbucks, I think.
No, it's $10 an hour.
And they get
Phil.
They get health insurance.
They get health insurance, yeah. But when the city of Seattle and Oregon wanted to raise the minimum wage, I think, to $15 an hour, he fought it tooth and nail, even though he was bragging about how much he paid Starbucks employees who their $10 an hour.
I think they start at 15.
No, they don't. It's $10 an hour, Phil.
There was a story I read by Emerson, and he wrote some essays, and one of them was on compensation, and that's where I get my opinion about that people need to work. People, no matter what they do or how much they make, it's that gives them satisfaction. And if you just hand people stuff, you're crippling them. And look, we've had all of these generations of welfare recipients that we've condemned them to continued welfare because they're not working. They're not. Jeff is saying
you talk out of both sides of your mouth, because if we educated people, if we gave them free education through college, that would empower people to get jobs where they can make a salary.
Well,
so that you're not in favor of that as a Republican. You're not in favor of that. But then you say that we're hampering people because we want to give them $15 an hour.
No, we're not hampering because we want to give them $15 an hour. We're providing a genuine job. But what we're doing when we put people on welfare is we're creating generation after generation of people that are entrapped.
Phil, let me ask you this. There's a woman. She's a mother. She has a child. She would. Isn't it better that she get a decent amount of welfare and be able to stay at home and raise that child rather than have to go to work and make that a latchkey kid?
Come on,
Mr. Cruelty. Come on, Mr. Cruelty. Give me your cruel answer.
Okay,
Go ahead.
I'll give you the cruel answer. The cruel answer is no. She needs to work some hours. She needs to do something
maybe
that gives her the satisfaction.
And you don't consider
of earning.
raising the kid and making a good life for that kid at home to be
How
working?
Many people have sacrificed.
You don't consider. Wait a minute, Phil. You don't consider that working?
No, it's just yes, it's work, but it's also part of what they just need to do to survive.
Bree, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Isn't Phil full of crap?
No, not always. But most of the time.
Most of the time. Yeah. Phil, we're not talking. You're acting like a woman who takes being a mother seriously and is a hands-on mother, and the kid is like 4 years old, so she really doesn't want to have to go to work because she'd like to be there to raise the kid and to be around the kid while that kid's in a formative stage. You're acting like that's not work, Phil. That's like you're acting like that's doing nothing. That's your sexist attitude. That's your sexist attitude.
Yeah, you do what you got to do, and you're sexist if you think it's only the mother that has to raise children and it's not the father.
Frankly, I think that I would not mind if my tax dollars, and I still pay significant tax dollars even though I don't make a salary anymore. If it went towards helping people stay home and raise their kids, yes, and you act as though welfare is this thing that a bunch of people who are deadbeats get, but the majority of the people who get it and get Social Security and so on are actually children, are benefited the most by welfare.
If the children got the welfare and not the mother
or the
Phil,
father, fuck you, fuck you. You are just you try to make an argument for everything. You can't be sympathetic. There is not one.
But Phil,
no, it's not.
You
all right.
Phil,
I say let's entrap everybody. I say give the mother the welfare, make the kid a second generation, and then their children a third generation welfare family. Sure,
Phil, I agree.
Don't give them the benefit of earning a living.
If you want to talk about how welfare is a trap, it's because of the way welfare is constructed in this country, where if somebody makes they're getting welfare, and then if they make a certain amount of income, all the welfare disappears. Well, that doesn't exactly work. No, that doesn't exactly work because the cutoff point is less than the amount of money they were getting in welfare. So there's no incentive for them to try and get out of that. If we staged down the welfare as they started raising in salaries and in income, then I think that you'd have a good way to get people off of welfare without penalizing them for trying to get off welfare.
What happens if they don't try to get off welfare because they figure, why should I get off welfare? I'm not going to make that much more.
You're acting like everybody who's on welfare is a deadbeat, and that's just categorically not true. It is your white privileged attitude.
Bullshit. You know, there are generation after generation of families that have been entrapped in the welfare spiral. And whether you think that you have the answer
I just explained the welfare spiral. I just explained the welfare spiral to you, and apparently I didn't make a dent in your little cranium.
No, because yours is your explanation is a hope and a prayer. It's not the way it is. The way it is they
Phil,
keep them on welfare so that they'll vote
wrong?
Democratic.
No, oh Jesus Christ!
Wow.
Somebody else take over. I'm too weak to fight anymore.
All right, I'll give you.
Well, the good news for Phil is that Trump will likely win the next election. Primarily because the Russians still are able to hack all the systems, and nobody's done anything about protecting them. We're not using paper ballots, so as long as that's true, I think Trump will win.
Well,
they just have to figure out
also the Russians aren't. Didn't the Russians?
It looks good enough.
Didn't the Russians?
We don't ultimately do anything about it.
Didn't the Russians?
And then after that, we might say, "Oh, we better do something about it." But he'll be back in his second term.
Didn't the Russians do something to?
I don't think he's going to win.
I think so.
Alex is trying to say something.
Did we get some news today that Mueller was pranked by the Russians, or there was something they did to try and discredit him?
I didn't get
Yeah, which kind of makes his Russia investigation have a lot of credibility.
But here's the thing about that: what crime was there originally that he was supposed to investigate, and what has he ultimately found? And are the things that he is finding ultimately the beginning?
Well, ultimately, what Mueller was supposed to do, and he is continuing to do, and it all comes under that category, was to investigate Russia's meddling in the election. That's really what the special counsel is all about, and that's exactly what he's been doing and hasn't stopped doing it. But he has found certain things where he needs people to fess up, and they don't fess up, so he has to take them to court.
Witch hunt.
If that's what you want to call it,
I'm
Phil.
against it. I'm against it now, Alex, because it's like when you get elected president now, you get your own special prosecutor automatically assigned, and then they're just told, hey, go around and find any. I mean, from the standpoint of if you look at it as an anti-corruption
the worst was
situation, then I'm in favor of it.
The worst was the one.
But I just don't know what's going on. And I'll tell you, they did not need all those SWAT teams to go at that guy. I just see that as a police state.
Yes, they did. Absolutely. And I'll tell you why. Because they knew that he had stuff at his place, and they didn't want to tip off their hat ahead of time because he might have destroyed material evidence.
He had 2 years to destroy it.
Phil, he didn't. He would destroy it when he knew they were coming after him. He didn't know they were coming after him. Maybe he wouldn't have, but they wanted to ensure. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Let me finish. They wanted to ensure that he wouldn't do that.
No, they wanted to intimidate him. That's what they wanted to do. And Roger Stone wasn't intimidated.
No, Roger Stone is having the most wonderful moment of his life, because if you know Roger Stone, this is a guy who loves getting this kind of attention. He loves the fact that they're going to put him on trial, and that he's the guy they're going after.
Order?
Huh?
Was there a gag order
on
Stone?
No, I don't think so.
They're talking about a gag order.
Well, there's no gag order in place right now.
Yeah. Well,
he will definitely get a pardon if he is ultimately.
He will get a pardon if Trump's in office, but Trump has only 2 more years, and we don't know what's going to happen at that point.
6 more. Run people.
Issue it.
Yeah. You run people like
what's her name? In my mind, I have zero.
Kamala
doubt.
Harris.
What?
I think people
what are you babbling about, Phil?
Kamala Harris is going to
Listen, you're from
out.
California. You should know it's pronounced Kamala.
Yeah. Okay. Kamala. Anyway,
like Pamela.
She's going to fizz out. Anybody that comes 2 years before the election date.
Yes, we know
usually,
that. We know that.
Yeah.
What are you telling us? You telling something we don't know?
Yeah. Well, they have nobody to run against Trump. Who are they going to run against him? The best guy they got, they're trying to shoot him down, which is Schultz.
Schultz isn't good. I'll tell you that right now. Schultz is a. What do you think, Rob? What do you think of Howard Schultz? Have you paid any attention to that?
I don't know him, but I do know that we see what happens when you have a businessman trying to run government.
Yeah, we don't.
It's not a good plan.
Yeah.
We need a career politician who's been through a governorship, a senator, a congressman, somebody who's been in the government, who understands how government works. We do not need a guy from a boardroom trying to run this country.
That's the old paradigm.
Yeah, sure. Well, we're seeing it play out where we can't even seem to get.
We're seeing the obstructionists.
How many? We don't even have. It's embarrassing. Our allies are around the country.
Phil, can you let somebody talk without jumping in? Let him finish.
How many cabinet posts are open? How many ambassadorships? How many appointed positions are open? Donald Trump is trying to run this government with him and his son. It's not the king. This is not the royal family.
There are hundreds of appointments that are stuck in whatever committee the Democrats want to stick them in.
Anything.
Yeah, there's hundreds of appointments, and they're not being put through.
He hasn't asked for them, Phil. Hello,
it's
Phil. Phil, they haven't asked. He hasn't asked for them. It's not that they're holding them back. He hasn't asked. Phil, he hasn't. He hasn't asked for them. He has been too lazy to appoint people to various positions.
But he wants to work with them.
Yeah, most of the people don't even want to take the job, right?
It's a lose-lose situation to work with Donald Trump. You're either going to have to lie like he does and stand behind his lies. And if you're that kind of person, like Sarah what's her name? Sarah Sanders.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, then, and if you could get up every day and lie like that, then you've got a job.
By the way, Ray, you want to say something? Yeah.
Oh, I just wanted to say hello.
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to the conversation all the way down, driving down from Berkeley. It was really interesting to listen and not be able to talk.
Yeah. And what?
Well, I think there was a little bit of confusion on the tax thing. If they're doing the numbers right, they're taking into consideration the brackets, and they're saying, given the brackets, they're still getting a 3.4% reduction of taxes.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah.
At that
even
bracket.
Though they're paying out more, Phil, they're still getting 3.4% of a greater reduction, given the fact that they are actually paying more.
Yeah.
I think that's the point of the whole thing.
The point is the group that could most afford to subsidize.
Yes.
Well, if you're going to
and the poorest people should get a higher amount so that they can survive.
Well, no, but there's more to it than that.
Rift between rich and poor.
There's more to it than that. If you say that you are lowering taxes because you're trying to do that as an incentive to put a goose in the economy, by giving that money or a large amount of that money to people in the lower income brackets, where they're going to go out and actually spend that money,
yes,
is the best place to invest it. The fact is that the rich may just put it in the bank and say, I'll put it away for a rainy day. And
Ronald Reagan tried the other thing before, the supply side economic thing, and it failed. It doesn't work. It's a myth.
Yeah.
Where you give the money to the rich and they end up investing and making the economy better. It doesn't happen.
No, you give the money to the rich and they keep it.
Right.
You know, and the trickle down theory was the only thing that trickles down is pee from your dick. You know.
Exactly. It never worked.
Yeah.
The older you get.
Yeah.
Hey, Ray.
It didn't work.
Since Ray is
here. Phil, it didn't work. You think it worked, Phil?
Yeah.
Well, it didn't. Go look at the numbers.
You remember the economy we had in the 90s? How good that was?
But that was because of the bubble in high tech. It had nothing to do with the supply side. Supply side caused a huge recession.
And why did that whole why did the bottom fall out of all of that? Because the tech started to fail. There was
because of the supply side, we had one of the biggest stock crashes in the history of this country since the Great Depression. What was it? It was in the 80s.
In the 80s? I'm trying to
in the late 80s. You had a huge, because of the trickle-down thing. Didn't work. What was it? We had a huge crash in the market, 87 or whatever it was.
When Reagan took over, we had 18% inflation. You know,
I know.
You know, we had terrible inflation under Jimmy Carter.
That's right.
And with this trickle-down economics, the inflation was curbed. And
was that because of the was it because of the trickle-down economics, or was it because of some other reason, Phil?
That was what was instituted, and eliminated.
Well, yeah, but I mean that was also the year I think I got laid more than other years, and so I guess that caused the inflation to go down, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what you're doing is you're trying to apply to inflation going down to something else that may not have had anything to do with it.
Well, it just happened at the same time, so it isn't one of cause.
And I got laid more that year than so I must have brought inflation down.
Yeah, well, you were making more money because of trickle-down economics, and you were able to pay for more women to come over because they wanted.
Yeah, Jeff, you wanted to say something?
No, I was going to say that.
I
the
want to talk
economy,
to Ray for a second.
It probably caused we had to buy a lot more condoms.
No, okay, that's good.
The latex industry is
Bree wants to ask Ray a question.
No more trickle down.
Bree wants to ask Ray. Please pay attention.
Go.
Please listen to me.
It's funny, when I went to the building, originally they wanted me to go at 10 a.m. and I said no, I'd be free at 11, and they said okay, that's fine. Which is very rare, by the way. I think I every time I want a certain dental appointment at a certain time, I get it. So, and also each time the dentist has come in, 5 minutes before my appointment, and there's no one else waiting. So I'm really, I'm starting to wonder if this is the right place. Anyway, there was a fire alarm test at 10 a.m. So which was good. I scheduled it at 11. Anyway, I had it put in. It didn't. When she put it in without the adhesive and the glue, it felt okay. But then it wasn't perfect. So
what does this have to do with what we're talking about?
It's trickling down.
He's he's the guru for Well, it's my ability to talk about all of these topics, whether my teeth will clatter or not.
Well, anyway. We're giving Alex a rest anyway.
Go ahead. I mean, ask you.
It doesn't feel right, but I was told you gotta stay with it for 2 or 3 days to feel if it's right.
Yeah, I would just wait 2 or 3 days. If it still feels screwed up, you got to call him and get him to fix it.
What feels screwed up?
Okay.
What feels
the
screwed
crown?
Up? The crown
feels weird in your mouth after like 2, 3, 4 days. Yeah, call him.
Well, I mean,
maybe the bite's not right.
It just
they got to adjust the bite or something.
Yeah,
they got to like sand off.
The bite's not right, and it doesn't look like a tooth. It just looks like a blob of like white bubble gum stuck. Is
that the temporary one or the?
I think
the real one.
Oh, well, that's not good.
It was half off.
No. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, geez.
Well, no, I mean, it's what you're describing to me sounds like a temporary.
Yeah.
I think that I wasted $450.
What?
Well, that was cheap.
On a crown? I'll come over and waste
10 times less than I pay.
He's not a satisfied.
No, I asked my dentist how much a crown would cost, and he said, "Well, it's a smaller tooth, so it might be $1,400." So when you talk about a cheap crown, what I wish they would have there are two things I wish they would have. Number one, walk-in teeth cleaning places where you could go in and you could see a dental hygienist and they clean your teeth. But why is it you always have to go to the dental? Wait, let me finish.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. No, you can finish, but it is a good idea.
My point is, why do I always have to go to the dental hygienist that works in my dentist's office? You know, why can't I go find my own dental hygienist or find a little company that specializes in that, like a walk-in, like I have a walk-in doctor here if I want to go see a walk-in doctor.
You want to know why?
Yeah, you're right, Alex, because they try to upsell me when I'm in there.
Oh, yeah.
You know, as I was getting the crown, she's like, oh, that other tooth is going to need it. Oh, and maybe we should do the top one. Oh, we got a sale on cleaning.
Well, the reason that the hygienist is in the dentist's office is, first of all, they're working under the dentist and his license. Number two, the dentist then is able to do an exam after the hygienist cleans the teeth. He does an exam to look and see if there's any other problems going on with your teeth. So it's a twofold thing. You're not getting the benefit of a dentist when you just go into a place that's only hygienists. But sounds like a good idea.
No, but I mean, the point is that many times I have had to use the hygienist in my dentist's office, and I didn't like them. I didn't like what they did. I didn't like their demeanor. I wished I could go somewhere else and get another hygienist. And in fact, I think I even asked one of my dentists, is there any way I can go to another office and use their hygienist rather than yours? And he said no. You know, and so that should exist. And also, you want a crown? It's no great magic to make a crown. You can go, it would be nice to be able to go somewhere. They fit a crown for you, and they sell you a crown, and they're competitive against each other. And so, okay, well, we can give you a crown for $400. We don't have to charge you $1,400. But what happens is your dentist makes a mold for the crown, sends it out to a place, they make it, and then he, or in my case, she, doubles the price of the crown and makes that profit off of it. If I were able to go to a place where I could go to the people who make the crowns and they fit them, I would probably pay half the price.
Yeah, they're called dentists.
No.
Well, no. You know what? My dentist, he has somebody make the crown, and then another dentist comes in and matches the color and paints it and stuff. He could actually, if I could just go to that guy who he got the crown from, I get it way cheaper. But he comes in and helps out.
No, but your dentist literally takes the price that they pay for the crown and charges you double that price.
Yeah.
So they make a big markup, and they do very little. All they do is they fit the crown. So if you could go into a place, Crowns Are Us, and they would fit the crown, because that isn't a dental procedure.
You have to grind the tooth down to fit a crown. You have to grind the tooth down.
Phil, you don't.
That's terrible.
Your dentist can grind the tooth down, can put a temporary in there, but you should be able to go somewhere else to buy the crown.
So you want to cut out the profit for the dentist, so he has to charge twice as much to grind it down, just to make up for the lost profit that he's not getting on the sale of the crown. When you go to get your car tuned up, you don't bring your spark plugs with you.
Phil, what is wrong with me being able to get a crown at half price?
What's wrong is you're taking the incentive away from the dentist to make enough profit to.
I'm taking enough incentive away from the dentist so they don't do something to my teeth where I need a crown.
My dentist drives a Porsche Turbo Carrera. I think he's doing okay.
So does mine.
I should look
a convertible.
What, Bree?
I should look to see what my dentist drives. But what's funny is, I don't know if you remember, when they took the bottom mold, it took one of my other crowns off. So the crown manufacturing place made two crowns, one for the gold one and one for the new one. And she said, "Do you want to replace the gold?" I said, "No, the gold is..." But they had made two, so apparently it's very cheap and easy to make it.
Here's another,
and it's pretty low-paid people that make them.
Okay, here's another question I have about crowns. I have, for instance, a crown here that's been falling apart for a long time. In fact, I have two of them. And what is underneath the crown? It's gold or metal or whatever, right? So what they really do is they take this metal and then they also put some porcelain. They bind some porcelain to it, and you've got your tooth, right? Why can't they take this tooth out and send it out to be repaired and put new porcelain on it? Why do I have to get a whole new crown to replace it?
They
well,
have
I was
to
told
adhere
not
it.
to get metal and porcelain.
And now let me ask the $1 million question, because most of these crowns have a gold base. All right. Most of them are gold. Let me ask you this question. Have you ever had your dentist go, okay, well, we just replaced your tooth. Here's your old one.
They should give it back to you.
They don't.
Wow.
They never do.
Next time, I'm going to make sure I get it.
Did you?
Now that you said that.
Yeah. Did you ever
They
get
sell
it?
it.
Did you ever get it back? Yeah. They sell
I'm
it
going
for the
to
gold.
now.
They
That's
sell it for the gold.
Oh,
Yep.
if it's gold.
It's yours. You paid for it.
A good one. A
It's
good
gold,
one.
but it's not that pure a gold.
I don't give a shit. I want it.
It's a precious metal,
Speaking
Phil,
of which,
and there's
palladium
money.
is apparently more expensive than gold, and people are ripping off catalytic converters now.
Really?
And
Read about
using them
that?
on their teeth.
The new grill.
But no, I mean, I think that, when I was a kid, I hate saying that because I sound so old when I say that. Now, I am so old, and that's why I'm saying it. When I was a kid, to begin with, as I said last night, my dentist was in this office. While you walked in, there was the chair. He didn't have an assistant. He didn't have anything else. He just had a drill and a shit-eating grin on his face, and charged you $5 per surface if he did a filling. All right? Today, what do we got? Oh, man, this has turned into this just incredible industry. I mean, dentistry in those days, it just didn't make a lot of money being a dentist.
Alex, when it was $5 a surface, what was the rent in your building? It was like $500 a month, $300 a month. Now it's $7,000-8,000 a month for the same for the same place. Things go up.
To get an implant will cost in the vicinity
up to $6,000.
Anywhere from $5,000 to $6,000, depending on where you go and how much needs to be done. I somehow think that whole process could be done a hell of a lot cheaper, and people would still walk away with a profit. Yes,
Do you
Jeff.
know why
Yes,
they
Jeff.
charge
Jeff
that
had his hand
now?
up. Jeff had his hand up. Yes, Jeff. Oh, turn your mic on.
You're muted.
Have we ever found that Costco does teeth work?
No, they don't.
Wouldn't that be pretty effective?
Can I answer the question as to why it costs $6,000 for a tooth?
Mm-hmm.
There's a machine that they buy. It's an oven. It's a very special oven, and then there's a laser machine that makes the tooth. And then they have to put it in this oven.
Phil, I'm not talking about the tooth part. I'm talking about the implant.
That machine that makes the implant costs $160,000.
No, they don't. You have those at your dental office.
So does his car.
Yes.
No,
some of them do.
Well,
my dentist does.
Well, if your dentist
my
does,
friend sold
it's
those
fine.
machines.
That's fine. But my dentist sent out for mine. Okay, and by the way, that crown doesn't cost $1,400 or $1,500. It costs $1,900.
Well, you see, what's happening is he sends it out, but still that guy had to buy the machine, and there's a cost involved, and he's transferring that cost to the dentist. And then, therefore, he transfers it to you. But those machines are expensive. You could invest $250,000 into being able to make those kinds of teeth. And, in 4 years, that technology is going to be
But
old hat,
doing an
and you have to buy a
implant
new one.
is different from making the tooth, Phil.
It's all
No, it's not all.
process.
No, it's not all part of the same process.
You put the post in and
My
all of that
dentist,
stuff, but then-
my dentist put in the post. He put in there's some kind of little special attachment, and then they sent out and had my other dentist went out and had the tooth made.
Right, because he didn't have the machine, but the other guy bought the machine, and he's got to get paid
All
for it.
I'm saying is the implant itself costs $5,000 without that fucking tooth. Okay.
You need the tooth
No,
to
you're
finish the
arguing.
implant.
Bill, you're arguing as if the dentist is Trump. And Alex.
No, but Alex
Hey,
wants them to be on
at
welfare.
what
Trump
point?
could be a
At what
dentist
point
if he
in this
wanted.
fucking life do I get a break? You know.
There's no breaks for you guys. You know?
If I were Trump, I would say, hey, this tooth doesn't feel right. I ain't paying.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
That's what you should do.
Well, he has a bad tooth. He combs it over.
No, but that dentist has got to pay, Phil. They got to pay for their machine.
Yeah, well, that's what those machines cost. Whether that dentist has it or another guy down the street has it, somebody's got to pay for it.
What I always got sick and tired of were dentists and doctors who would say to me, "Well, the reason we have to charge what we charge is we have to pay back for our education." And I go, "Well, you're 70 years old right now. Haven't you paid it already?"
They say the same thing about the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah,
the toll was supposed to stop when it was paid for.
Right.
And, and that was in '75, I think.
Yeah.
Now they're going to raise it to what? $10?
So yeah.
God, I remember when it was. I remember when it was
like a trade.
I remember when it was 25 cents
each way.
Each way.
Yeah, that's why they had them on both sides.
No, in fact, I think it was less than that when I was a kid. It was like the dime or something. It was just ridiculous.
Hey, just think about it, Bree. Your dentist, you just said, oh, geez, what'd you say? I just lost my train of thought.
Good.
Can I raise a new topic?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yes,
okay. I like phones that have two screens. Okay, they have e-ink on the back, and then they have LED on the front. And because most of the time my eyes hurt, so I like to be able to, use the e-ink screen if I'm on the train or something, and it doesn't use the battery.
Yeah.
So I bought one online from AliExpress. I don't know. Have you guys
never heard of
Ali?
those. No.
Okay. So the last 2 months I bought everything on AliExpress, and I love it because it's usually about a tenth of the price of Amazon. So I thought, how can Amazon exist in this world if AliExpress exists?
Well, how's that spelled? Ollie, like OLLIE or ALLIE?
ALI.
ALI. Oh, so is that Alibaba? Is that?
Yeah.
Oh, Alibaba. Yeah.
So it's
so it's the Chinese, right?
Yeah.
Right, but here's the thing: if you can go direct through, an e-commerce site that's based in China, why would you go through Amazon? Because Amazon is just getting it from them and marking it up. So most of the time I get cheap. So anyway, I ordered a phone. The phone came. It wasn't the right phone, and I wanted to send it back. And the seller said, no, I don't take returns. But AliExpress said, no, within 15 days he can return it. So I return it. I have to pay the shipping fee. And now the seller says, I would like $100 because you damaged the phone. Now, I didn't damage the phone. I took pictures of it. I had video of it too. But then I found this guy's website on YouTube where the person who sold me the phone, where he does, demonstrations of the phones he sells. So I wrote on there, I said, look, folks, if you buy from this guy, he's not going to let you return it. And if you return it, he's going to try to charge you, say you damaged it and charge you. And I have evidence that that's not true. So underneath, he wrote in Cantonese a very threatening curse words and swearing. So I screenshot that and I sent it to YouTube and I sent it to AliExpress to say, this is not how you treat a customer.
So what were you buying? What were you buying from AliExpress?
You bought a phone.
A phone.
Fentanyl. Oh.
Fentanyl. Yeah.
Well,
it's a big seller in this country.
Yeah. That's why we need the wall.
Yeah,
so,
that's right.
Phil, have you ever had any customers who've been so bad that you cursed them and swore at them?
No, because I believe that any time a customer is that upset, it's the fault of the salesperson. That they either left them to believe that something was going to happen that didn't, or they told them that something was going to happen that didn't. So I trace it all back to a poor salesman, and I wouldn't let that happen.
Well, I filed a complaint and the same, and I said, this is somebody out there who is using the AliExpress name, and they're putting a public, cursing and swearing on YouTube, which you're not allowed to do. And actually, what's funny is if the person had done that to me in person in the country I live in, they could go to jail.
Really?
Yeah, they can be arrested. Yes. You cannot swear at someone.
Yeah, but Bree, those words were terms of endearment in his country.
Yeah.
Fuck you, motherfucker!
Well, I went and looked at AliExpress here. I can't figure out where it's from exactly.
I can't even get it.
Well,
it's not
isn't
part.
the guy who
It's,
owned-
no, it's not part of the Alibaba group. No.
No? No.
No.
It's part of, I think, JD and Taobao, JD or Taobao or something like that.
Yeah.
It's based in
I was
Hong Kong.
talking about. I was listening to this Fresh Air today, and they were talking about how Huawei is going to control the 5G network, which is really scary because it's the Chinese will be able to sort of spy on us and do whatever they want to us.
We're
Huawei
fighting
is
that.
having some issues with our government and the Canadian government.
It's because of that. It's
That was
because
because
of that.
Huawei sold to Iran. But I have to tell you something. Huawei is the tip of the iceberg in terms of Huawei is that whole thing. I don't even know where to begin. But let me just say this: all your phones are tapped all the time by the governments. That's with that understood. Then you can then start to talk about Huawei. But if you think your phone is not monitored and tapped, well, you're wrong because it absolutely is.
No, I think it is, but it's by the United States. But then what's going to happen is the United States is going to not be able to have precedence over China tapping our phones.
You know how we can defeat China and Russia and all of these things is let them listen in on our phones, because the conversations I usually have is, did you eat? Yes, I ate. What did you eat? That's bad for you. Don't eat that. You know, the Chinese and the Russians, they'll go nuts with boredom.
Well, that's not what they're looking.
They'll just get really hungry.
That's not what they're looking for, Phil.
I know.
If they control the system, they can control a lot more. And
I used to have a radio when cell phones were analog.
Mm-hmm.
I had a radio in my car that you could hear cell phone conversations in the analog world, and they were all stupid. You know, had no
boring.
Yeah,
they
boring.
were boring.
Yeah, you know, even if you could listen to it, you didn't want to. You know?
And you usually only hear one side too. It's one person droning on.
Yeah.
About their dinner or what the hell they did yesterday. I'm like, Jesus Christ, you have a boring life.
Well, they
and
have
I'm
to
listening
come
to you on my
Gabnet.
radio.
Yeah, they can come on Gabnet and do that.
I'll tell you how far.
You used to be able to do that on the phone.
I'll tell you how
Sometimes
far
you'd
I've
pick up the phone when you were a kid. I remember it was like you'd hear some neighbor talking on there, like
party line.
I'll tell you
but
how
you'd only hear one side.
I'll tell you how far I've come in my life. I remember, and I don't know if anybody remembers this. Do you ever remember your phone being a party line?
Yeah.
For about 2 weeks.
Where
my parents got a second line, and that was a party line. That lasted 2 weeks.
No. This was actually, you had to share a line with somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, in San Francisco, I remember my grandparents had that.
One of those at a lake house.
Yeah. And so you would pick up the phone to go make a call, and there's somebody talking on it. So you have to hang up, and then you'd wait, and then you go, well, these people ever get off the fucking... Finally, you'd say something, would you please get off? I got to make a call here.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And I think for a long time after that, some of
somebody
the
picks
hardware
up.
never got changed. Some of the hardware never got changed, and you'd still hear like you for years after, you'd still hear like half the party line.
No,
you know?
We could
you
get
know, you would have RF signals.
we could get into a whole. It's too late to get into it, but just the fact that the phone company at a certain point was starting to get conned by people like you and me. People came along with the black boxes and the blue boxes because the old system was so antiquated that you could hack it easily. Yeah. I mean, all you had coming into your house was 2 wires, and you hooked into that. And if you learned how it worked, you know, I mean, how did Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak start out?
Signal generator.
How did they?
Some sort of signal generator.
Will you let me finish, Phil? Please.
Well, you said, how did he do it?
No. It wasn't a signal generator. They made blue boxes and they made black boxes. That's how they made their living originally. The black box, I think it was the black box. You let me finish?
Okay. I know about this stuff.
All right, well then tell us.
Oh, you needed a 2600 cycle tone.
No, that wasn't it. That wasn't it.
All right, go ahead.
I'm talking about one of the boxes, which was, I think the black box was a simple one. You could make a call, somebody could call you long distance, and you could talk to them, and the phone company would never know that the call had been completed because it created a constant line even though you were able to talk to the person. They found that out. The other one you're thinking about is there was a whistle that came in every package of Captain Crunch. And there was a guy known as Captain Crunch, and he found that by whistling into the phone using it, he could call anywhere in the world for free.
But if you had a signal generator, you could do the same thing.
Yes, but it was cheaper to go get a Captain Crunch whistle.
That's what Steve Jobs was selling in the beginning, right? They were making
they were making blue
signal generators.
They were making blue boxes and black boxes. Yeah,
right. So when they blow, that's a signal.
So you can make
people used to steal
calls.
Cable television all the time too. You just go
that was because the cable companies in the beginning were idiots, and they ran the cable through the closets in the apartments. Well, because they were in the apartments, you could just cut that wire, siphon off, and get your own cable.
They had a filter.
Like that.
No.
You just went on the pole and
so what they
siphoned off
did is they finally learned that they had to run the cable outside the apartment where they had access to it.
You see all those people hanging on the side of the building saying, "There's the filter." Cut it. I once found one of those cable wrenches that you could go over the filter and unscrew the cable.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I did with it, but nobody has those anymore. But a couple times.
They're all
got free cable.
They've changed the technology so that you can't really.
And I bought a
Well,
box.
they used.
What?
I used to do that actually.
Yeah.
And they can measure the signal loss or degradation, before and after house, so they know how many TVs are hooked up or whatever. I mean, historically, now I'm sure it's all. Yeah, because there was attenuation, so they had to, along the cable, every mile or so, they had to put a booster, and then they encrypted it, and now it's all digital.
Well, with those filters, the signal went through. Every signal went through. It's just that they would filter or scramble that signal if you didn't pay for the Showtime or the HBO or whatever it was. But I also had a box. I think I paid $200 for it, and I got every channel, including the Playboy channel, pay-per-view.
Well, they have that now in. I just read in the Malaysian newspaper, and in Singapore, you buy a TV box. And it's like a box, and you pay $200 for it, and they give you a certain number of movies on the device, and then you can stream from an illegal site in China, and they're cracking down on those now because they're not paying the intellectual property rights. But they call them TV boxes. If you look it up, it was in the Star. The newspaper is called The Star in Malaysia. You can just put up Android TV boxes, Malaysia, The Star,
Alex,
and you'll get the articles.
The original Sling TV in New York City had some sort of deal where they were rebroadcasting the signal, and they got stopped. Do you remember that, Alex?
No.
Oh yeah, it was called a Sling box.
Oh, I remember the Sling box.
Yeah, Sling TV. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have Sling now, but it's different. It's not a Sling box.
That's the same company.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
It's the same company.
You could still use your Sling box.
Yeah. Marjorie had one.
There was one called Arrow TV.
Yeah.
That was also out of New York, and they were trying to figure a way to get analog TV, and then stream it online.
There's the theme song, thankfully, and boy, you guys have run me through the mill tonight. I'm exhausted. Anyway, thank you, Jeff Stein, for being with us this evening. You've been a good boy. Rob, you've been a good boy too. Bree, you've been a pretty good boy yourself. Ray, you've been a good boy. We won't talk about the bad boy in the room, the one who exhausted me this evening.
Bad boy, what you gonna do?
Anyway, what I think you all ought to do is give a big wave goodbye to the people out there so they can wave back. Yeah, and I'll wave at you, and that's it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, everybody. That's our citizen panel for tonight. That's our program for tonight. Jack Bishop is next. He's going to be here with a little program that is entitled The Intersection, and that will be followed tomorrow night at 9:30 with Damian Chaplin. And then tomorrow night, I'll be back again, 10 o'clock, same time, same station in life. And in the meantime, if you see her, Tell her I love her, okay? Bye-bye, everybody. Have a nice night, okay?